D.C. Hayes, the first president of the Washington Bar Association, brought Bowling versus Sharp to ensure black children in D.C. could attend integrated schools, today's Washington Bar Association lawyers must now make educational equality, not mere integration, educational quality, not mere integration, our paramount goal. On an evening in which our theme is diversity and inclusion in the legal profession, I'd like to take a moment to discuss the state of African Americans in our profession. Our ABA president reminded us that 88% of all lawyers are white as compared to 81% of all engineers and 72% of all physicians and surgeons. If you will repeat this phrase at my prompting, I promise I'll finish the speech fast. Surely the law must do better. Let's try that. Surely the law must do better. Thank you. Second, approximately 47% of all law students are women. But women make up only 1/3 of the attorneys at firms and only 17% of the equity partners. For African American men and women at law firms, the numbers are dismal. African American attorneys represent only 3% of associates at major firms and less than 2% of all partners. Surely the law must do better. Oh, no, let's say it with some heart. Surely the law must do better. I'm feeling that. Third, minorities are still presumed to be less confident than their white counterparts. This is an issue Joe West has railed against for a long time now. You all remember the experiment where a legal memo was given to white law partners to evaluate. Half were told that the memo was written by a white associate. The other half were told it was written by a black associate. Well, the partners rated the white associate 4.1 out of 5, and the black associate 3.2 out of 5. The white associate was praised for his potential and deep analytical skills. The black associate was assessed as average at best and in need of significant improvement. Surely the law must do better. Fourth, according to a recent ABA study, 85% of minority female attorneys at large firms will quit those firms within 7 years of starting. These women didn't leave their firms because they wanted to or they couldn't cut it. Rather, it was because they had no other choice than to leave. Surely the law must do better. Finally, we know that the legal profession is not limited to practice in large firms. There are over 50,000 African American attorneys in the United States. Many of these attorneys practice in federal, state, and local government. Many are sole practitioners or have started their own law firms. In his book, Representing the Race, Harvard Law professor Kenneth Mack described how Charles Hamilton Houston began his career, and shortly after that one-year stint in Spain, he began working on debt collection and trust and estates work in his father's small law firm located in Washington, D.C. And this, after being selected as the first African-American editor of the Harvard Law Review. Facing these limitations, Charles Hamilton Houston dedicated his career to lifting others in his race. Like Houston, modern-day black attorneys in small firms and the government face similar barriers to inclusion in the legal profession. Surely, the law must do better. Well, somebody's saying, what can we do? I'm glad you asked that question. We started our Diverse Partners Network and our African American General Counsel and Managing Partners Networks to make certain that diverse attorneys have every opportunity to succeed in the practice of law, irrespective of where they work. In private practice, which I know a little bit about, the key is having your own clients. Now, as you can see, I manage my own firm, not because of my intelligence or my good looks, but you're supposed to laugh. But it's because I have clients. And because I have clients, it makes my observations compelling. It makes my stories insightful. and it makes my jokes funny. See? But if I lose those clients, I'm like an actress no longer beautiful. There are no roles for me. Now, I'm here for a number of reasons, but one of the reasons I'm here is a number of people have helped me. And by doing so, they have empowered me to bring about change in my firm and in the profession. The people who have helped me are overwhelmingly African American and overwhelmingly African American women. Now specifically, they're not all here tonight, but I wish to recognize Henderson Brown, Avis Russell, who's sitting right there, Randy Heyman, my new partner, is sitting right there. Each are current or former member, general counsel, of DC Water. Wish to recognize Leslie Thornton of Washington Gas and Lolita Forbes, formerly of Verizon, now with Samsung. Her colleagues are sitting here tonight. Mark Battle and Donna Cooper of Pepco. Robbie Narcisse of Pitney Bowes, Phyllis Harris, Joe West of Walmart, Tremaine Singleton of Halliburton, and Sherry Williams of that company. Kimberly Phillips, Karita Walker, Cecil Nichols of Shell, Artis Hampshire Cowan, and Marianne Niles, formerly of the DC Sports and Entertainment Commission. Ruth Ivory Moore, formerly of ExxonMobil, Marianne Levan of Lockheed Martin, Norma Lethwich, formerly of Howard University, and Marcia St. Martin of the Sewerage and Water Board of New Orleans. I raise those names to you because they gave me a chance. You see, but for them, mine would be a voice crying out in the wilderness, the Latin phrase that my alma mater goes by. They, the people I'm talking about, continue to advocate the hiring of diverse lawyers of color. Please join me in thanking them and others who, like them, have chosen to advance the careers of hundreds of African American lawyers. Now, in cities across the country, attorneys in our Diverse Partners Network meet with general counsel and other senior in-house counsel. We host seminars to show young African American attorneys how to succeed in their practice. We also host programs to show them how to move from the government to private practice and to the government again, just the way other people do. Have you ever noticed how a black man or woman starts with 2 strikes? And the next pitch might be at their feet, strike 3. That's just not right, and we're not going to accept it. When a person finds fulfilling work, there is nothing she cannot do. And just last month, we launched our Diverse Associates Network. Now, Joe told that story. Last year, the general counsel of, last spring, of GE came to me. He says, then I know Ted Wells. Who else do I need to know? I'm sure I'm the only black person who sometimes asks that question about what person they know of one highly successful black person. Is there another one out there? An endangered species kind of thing that uses a little environmental. But I recall the admonition of my mother, and she said that a careful, well thought out response is always better than a hastily prepared one. I drafted a list of over 200 African American attorneys, men and women, from across the country in over 20 different practice areas. This list is now being used by over 50 Fortune 500 general counsel. And is already now, it was mentioned that I teach at the Howard University School of Law. I'm thrilled to teach there. I'm so proud of my students. We have over 50 who are practicing in environmental law. I've represented New Orleans for over 20 years. And there's a lady over here who's responsible for getting me started with that. And I remember the first time I taught, one of my students said, well, this environmental stuff, that's what other people are concerned about. And I said to them, have you heard of Katrina? I said, let me ask you this. If you had taken my class and you represented the mayor, would they have had keys for those buses? If you'd taken my class and you represented the governor of Louisiana, Would there have been preparation for people at the Superdome? Would there have been medical supplies? Would there have been places for them to stay at those various military bases? If you had taken my class and you worked for FEMA, would Brownie gotten his, you know what, on the ground a lot sooner? So the point is, our students make a difference. And I'm so proud because over at that table, I have several Howard Law School graduates in my law firm. And I have one who's left me to go to EPA, but she's promised to come back. So I'm about done. And I would like to tell you one final story. You see, someone here has asked the question, why join the Washington Bar Association here? Someone saying, why come to this dinner is so dang on long and these recipients speak so long? And I have an answer. My answer, in all seriousness, is that somewhere tonight, perhaps within the sound of my voice, there is a man who's ready to throw in the towel. There's a woman ready to wave, this is a black flag, the white flag of surrender. There's a little boy, a little girl who this morning was told, you're nothing, and you'll never, ever amount to anything. Well, I'm encouraged, see, because I can still hear the quivering, nervous voice of Miss Nettie reading from 2 Corinthians. We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, cast down, but not broken. Thank you.
This Law Day dinner, May 7, 2016. Thank you for your service.
Service to the Washington Bar Association. And so in just a few words, in other words, Bridget made us look good. And Bridget helped us to fulfill the promise that we, as Washington Bar Association members, all take when we decide that we're going to be members of this association, to help one another and to help those that we serve. So at this time, I want to have Bridget come up, and I want to present her with the 2016 president.
Sandra's looking at me, so I'm just going to say a couple of words. It's gone long, but it's been well worth